Hello and welcome to Nithrania YouTube channel. You're watching the list of 25 best board games that came out in 2021 according to me. My name is Branislav Berec, and if you know me, if you've seen my list before, you know that I'm a Euro gamer, the player who likes strategic games, the player who doesn't really like too much of a randomness in the games and dice rolling and that kind of stuff, but not only a Euro gamer. I like many other games if they're good, and you will see some of them on my list. I have not played all the games, obviously, that came out in 2021, but I think I played enough, and here's my 25 games which I liked the most. The reason why I'm doing this list now, end of March, is the fact that I wanted to wait for all the games, similar to previous years, for all the games that I believed will make it into my top 10 of 2021, and some of those games arrived in January, February, and there's one that arrived in March and made it to the top. So it was really worth waiting for the game. I'm not going to spoil which one it is, but it made it to the top of the list. I was very, very surprised, and the reason the game was not available in Czech and Slovak Republic. I didn't back the game on the Kickstarter. Actually, when I heard about the game, I was not interested at all, and I'll tell you why and what is the game. But then when I saw that it is available, and I've heard some praise from other people, I tried it, and then I tried it again and played it again and played it again. And it's on my top of my list. So that's why end of March. I'm probably going to do the same in the following years as well, unless I will be able to play many games by the end of December or maybe end of January. But it's end of March, and I think I have played everything that I wanted to play. So here's my list, and let's start with number 25. Number 25 is on my list is a Space Race. It's from Boardcubator. It was a Kickstarter project, but I did a tutorial beforehand. I really like the graphics of the game. It's the engine building, tableau building game. I like that kind of games quite a lot. Race for the Galaxy is one of my favorite games of all time, and this is similar theme. Similar mechanics. I mean, it is card driven. It is tableau building, and I really like the art, and I enjoyed the gameplay. It definitely rewards repeated play. You can combo the cards. I really enjoyed that game. I have not played. This is a board game. This is a Space Race board game. Space Race board game. Previously, they have the Space Race, just a card game. I wanted to try that one as well, because the board game is just like a board game version of that card game. And I prefer the type of game like Race for the Galaxy. I don't need to have that board around. So I want to try the card version of the game as well. But the board game version, Space Race, is really... it caught my attention. It looks really nice. I enjoyed playing it, and it's, well, number 25 of 2021. As I said, I played it even before it was delivered to Kickstarter backers. I had the pre-production copy, I made the tutorial, so I really had a chance to work with the game for extended period of time, and enjoyed it quite a lot. Then, number 24 is a very small game, and I think it was another Kickstarter project, but it's been available since in retail as well, and it's Canvas. Canvas, very easy to teach, very easy to explain to non-gamers as well. Has a beautiful components, those translucent cards where you just try to get certain symbols and combinations of symbols together. Clever mechanism, easy to teach, easy to understand, easy to get to the table. Family type of game. I really enjoyed that one, and not just me. I was surprised how much other people in the gaming group as well liked the game. So Canvas number 24, lightweight, easy filler, looks nice. I was really surprised how simple game can really make it into my top 25. But I enjoyed it a lot, and there's more games like this, to be honest. Number 23 is a game which I tried at Essen Spiel. It's called Settlement. Again, very family type of game, very easy to teach, easy to understand, looks cute. It's a combination of worker placement and some tile placement, and essentially you get some resources, you try to collect some resources, trade those resources, and then buy some heroes, or recruit some heroes for your army, and those heroes have some victory points, and the more victory points you have, who has the highest number of victory points is the winner. Very pleasant gameplay, and I enjoyed it so much. I grabbed the game immediately. It's a Ukrainian studio. I don't know how available if it is available in retail, if it's widely available. I have not seen it much. They have the web page. I've seen it. I tried to order another one. We'll see. I don't have a response yet. Hopefully they're okay. But settlement, family type of game, which looks nice, is easy to understand. You do some really interesting in-game decisions. I was really surprised how much I just enjoyed the game. It was like a relaxing experience. There was some decision making, as I said, the decision making which I liked, and the way you place the tiles. After placing a worker next to those tiles, you activate all the rows with those tiles. So there is some combo creation, setup of the combos of those tiles. Even though it's family type, there's still a lot of things to think about. And it was just a very pleasant experience for me. So when I look at my list, actually, I realize how many family type of games I have over here. It's probably that I've realized that good games don't always have to be heavy, difficult, tough games that take 3 hours to play very often. And I was very thankful for this year with many medium weight and lightweight games that are very nice to play with easy mechanisms, even for non-gamers or casual gamers to understand. So Settlement number 23, and number 22 is something very similar. Also something that came in and Essen Spiel. It was one of the first game we played, to be honest. We met these guys on Wednesday afternoon, and it's Gutenberg. Gutenberg has such a beautiful components. They have these wooden letters, the reverse letters, which are how do you call it in English? I don't know. But it looks like the components, like the metal pieces that were used back in time when books were really printed. So beautiful components. Again, very easy to teach. It's very simple. You collect these letters, these types. You collect ink, colored ink, and essentially people are making books, and you need the letters, you need the ink, you need some ornamentation for which you get bonus points. For making the book itself, you get money. For all these ornamentations and colors and whatnot, other bonuses, you get a victory point. So you want both, and you try to plan it so that within a round you complete as many orders as possible. Very simple, very easy, and there is a very nice auctioning mechanism at the start of the round. First player has the fewest tokens, the last player has the most tokens, but the first player wins all the ties, or the player earlier in the round, order, player order, wins the ties. So very interesting auctioning mechanism at the start of the round. Again, looks nice, although Euro style graphics. It's brown, but it has nice components. It looks nice and very, very pleasant to play. Really pleasant, relaxing play. That's what I enjoy a lot. So Gutenberg 22. 21, another Essen game, the game that came out at Essen Spiel. And I remember how I was running every day several times to make sure that I get the copy of the game. And it's called Furnace. Very simple engine building. Again, simple engine building with just a few types of resources. You have oil, you have iron, and I think there's gold. What is it? Yeah, maybe just 3 types of resources, and you collect resources, convert resources, and convert them for victory points. But again, there is a beautiful auctioning mechanism at the start of the round where players try to get those cards. If you get the card itself, you get the engine mechanism, so to say. If you don't get the card, you get the immediate bonus from the card. And players have these tokens numbered 1 to 4. The higher the value, the highest value token gains the card. There can never be tokens with the same number on the same card. So beautiful auctioning mechanism. I love that a lot. That's one of the best auctioning systems I have ever seen in board games. So I like that a lot. And then it's a little bit of solitaire, that once we finish this auctioning phase, then there's this engine running phase, which we all can do simultaneously. This is something which I don't really like that much, because people can make mistakes, but it's not about cheating. But it's we all do our own thing. We all do convert our resources. And bang, 15 points. How many? 25. Oh, 13. Well, it's non-interactive any longer. Everyone just does their own engine running, and it can be a lot of engine running. Later in the game, when you have 7-8 cards and you try to figure out what's the best way, it seems to me like we all are just doing our own thing for 2 or 3 minutes. That's the only downside. Other than that, it's a very, very pleasant, very nice engine builder. So Furnace 21. 20. Another very pleasant game to play. Medium weight worker placement type of game, which I've been introduced to in March, but this is not the one that made it to the top. It's called Fruticola. The game in which players are collecting fruits and making jams. Beautiful theme. It has, well, the components are interesting, although not all the design choices are the best ones. But you have 2 types of workers. Some of them give you bonuses when you take certain actions. But essentially, you just collect fruits and you try to make the jams. There are different types of fruits. Some of them are cheaper, some of them are more expensive. When you make a jam, the prices of these products are changing every time you sell a jam that has been produced, that you have produced. Every time the jam is sold, its price drops down. There are some event cards that may do something with the prices. So the earlier you sell, the more money you get. And it's about money. Who has the most money wins the game. So the earlier you sell, the more money you get. However, towards the end of the game, you can collect more fruits and produce more jams with fewer actions. So you want to be efficient, but towards the end of the game, you will not make a lot of money. But again, there are bonuses which you can get. Some of the bonuses can temporarily increase the price for you only, so you want to focus on those one. Very, very pleasant, pleasant game to play. A little more complex than Settlement and Gutenberg, and fairness, but I enjoyed it a lot. So number 20, Fruticola. Number 19, Seven Wonders Architects. Again, another, and there is going to be another one, and more of them here. Another simple game to play, very simple, and I enjoy the fact that it's so easy to teach, easy to explain, easy to start playing even for the non-gamers. I feel like this year brought a lot of games for people who have never played board games, and if they want to join the party, if they want to join the community, there's a lot of fantastic games which look nice, are easy to explain, and are thematic, and they just make sense, and they're new. So Seven Wonders Architects, it has the Seven Wonders theme, obviously. It's 15 minutes for us, maybe 15-20 minutes game, not more than that. It is simplified. It's not really the Seven Wonders as you know it as the full game. But to give you to give the non-gamers or casual gamers some understanding how this draft works and how to collect certain combinations of cards, it just looks okay. It looks really okay. It's so easy to get into, and even those powers are unique. Each wonder looks different. Each wonder has some minor special power. Yeah, it just ticks a lot of boxes for me, for even for a studio, for a new studio that we have here, trying to introduce more and more people to the hobby. These are exactly the games that they want to play. So Seven Wonders Architects, and it has been played a lot, I have to say, in the second half of the year, 2021, it has been played a lot here. So number 19, Seven Wonders Architects. And number 18 is another family type of game, and it's called Meadow. First I skipped the game because it was, it looks like Quadropolis, the similar game mechanisms like Quadropolis, and I played Quadropolis a lot with my girlfriend, so I was not really so much interested in Meadow. But then when I tried it, it's so clever. Yes, there is some randomness. It has a similar card selection. Quadropolis had the tile selection. Here it's the card selection mechanism. But you really have to think about which cards you want. You are gathering points, obviously, but it is a little bit more clever, and I liked it a lot. I was so surprised. So surprised how much I enjoyed the game, much better than I have anticipated. So again, simple even for the casual gamers. Number 18, Meadow. Number 17 is finally a gamer's game, or at least more heavier, more complex and heavier game. And we are actually getting into an area of games which are more complex and heavier. And this one, I hesitated to put on the list because it's not really a new game, it's a reprint. Second edition reprint, depends on how you take it. It's a Martin Wall's game called Tinner's Trail, in which players are mining resources, tin and copper, and then sell those resources to the external market. It's played over 4 rounds, and each round those prices may be completely different. And mines can have water, they can be flooded. The more water is there, the more expensive it is to mine those resources. And there is some auctioning. Players are auctioning these mines at the start of the round. Then it has action point distribution type of system. You have certain number of action points, and you take actions, and each action has a cost of certain number of these action points. So you can take a few big actions, expensive actions, or you can take cheaper actions which are not so powerful, but you need the combination of those actions, and essentially you need to mine those resources and sell them to external market. Now the game has 2 problems why it's at number 17. First, I'm not really a huge fan of the auctioning system here, especially when one person who is initiating the auction may spend a card and peek at the mine, so he has the perfect information while other players don't. And other players may be bluffed. Other players may, how to say, it doesn't come to me as a fair auction when one person knows what kind of mine we have and other players don't. And that can create sometimes the game winning or game losing conditions. I've seen it twice that one person was either dragged into, bluffed into buying a mine which was totally non-profitable, and he spent a lot of money just because he didn't want the other person to have that mine very cheaply, because it looked like the mine is highly profitable. And when you let it was in the first round, and why that is important, I'll tell you in a minute. So he didn't want the other person to have very cheap access to a highly profitable mine, so he bid more, and he was outbid, and he outbid even more. I mean, it was beautiful play by the other person, but just because the other person knew what's in there, it was a little bit of it's like in a poker, a little bit of a risk that what if the other person doesn't bid too much. But as soon as the person actually bought the mine for a lot of money and we flipped the mine, it was evident that that person lost the game, and the other person was then left alone, and he chose another mine which was profitable and cheap, and he actually won the game in round 1 out of 4. And that's my second problem with the game. The game can be over at round 1 out of 4. And it's not just my feeling. I've seen people complaining about it on BGG, even in the original game. It can happen that the game is actually over at the end of round 1, latest round 2. Just because the way you get victory points, you spend money, and the only way to get victory points is at the end of the round, you spend money for victory points. But in the first round, I don't know, let's say for 10 money you get 20 victory points. In second round, for 10 money, 10 pounds, you get 16. In the third round you get 13, and in the last round you only get 10 victory points, or 9. So it goes gradually down. So if the first player, or if any player spends a lot of money in the first round and creates a huge runaway problem, leader runaway problem, for other players it may be completely impossible to catch the leader, especially if the prices go down, because they fluctuate, they're different every round, and it's pretty much random. If those prices would remain high in the round 3 and 4, there might be a chance for other players, especially in round 3. If they drop down, it's game over. So that's my only problem with this game. That's why it's important not to let any person have a cheap mine and profitable mine in round 1, which may create those situations, those bluffing situations, and yeah, I don't think I like that bluffing element and non-perfect information, which can have a detrimental effect in round 1 out of 4. Now, maybe that's something that could be increased, improved, because as long as you don't have the players of the same skill, and then the game can be broken in round 1. If you have the players who played the game together several times, then it becomes really good. But yeah, it's a very specific. So Number 17, Tinder's Trail. That's the only reason why it's so low. I really like the game and the system and the action selections. There's a lot of good things in the game, but this one, the fact that it can be over, and other players mathematically, I mean really mathematically, if the prices are low, they don't even have a mathematical chance to catch the leader sometimes. So that's 17. Number 16 is one of 3 games from Game Brewer. They had perfect year last year. And the first one is Strogano, number 16, Strogano. The game is the game has a beautiful art. I like the graphics. I like how it looks, and it has a beautiful gameplay. Reminds me of Parks, which where players just go from west to east. I think, yeah, they go to east, they go to Siberia, and then they go back and collect these fur tokens, and each turn players can have up to 3 actions. These actions can trigger other smaller actions and sub actions, so it's like a chain reactioning within your turn. So it's there's a lot of thinking in the game. It's like a point salad. You get victory points from various sources, but you have to specialize. It's not that you can do anything and you get victory points for almost anything in the game. You get victory points for a lot of things, but it really rewards a specialization, especially for building outposts. For other tiles that are on the game board, you get the more you specialize, the more victory points you can get from there. So you have to do a lot of thinking and a lot of forward planning, but there are some tactical decisions as well. I really enjoyed the game. It looks nice. When we played the game at Essen, I was lucky enough to get a review copy. But when we actually played the game, the friend of mine, and it was Thursday morning, it was not even a lunchtime yet. And a friend of mine, when we finished just first round, it was like a demo, obviously, at Essenspiel. After we finished that 1 round, he stood up and said, "I'm going to buy the game." I said, "I have the review copy," and the 2 of us were there together in one apartment, obviously living in one apartment. I said, "I have the game." He said, "Never mind, it's so good, I'm going to buy it." It was sold out already. Anyway, he's not a Euro gamer. He's a war gamer. So we really like the game a lot. So Stroganov number 16. One of the best games of the year, one of the best Euro games, and I still like it a lot. But there are still 15 games which I like better. And number 15 is another big point salad game, which looks beautiful. It's from Dever Games, and it's called Bitaku. We didn't have a chance to play the game at Essen directly. We played it at home, but very similar to Strogano. I like the graphics design. I like the colors. I mean, it really looks beautiful. The theme, for me, is not. The theme is there, but I'm not a huge fan of this Japanese spiritual thing. I mean, I know nothing about it, nothing. So for me, the theme is not really what dragged me into the game. Is the fact that there is some dice placement, which looks really. The game mechanism itself is very interesting, and even upgrading the dice from one dice spot to another one, which doesn't have enough space for all the dice on those basic spots. That was really clever, and the components look nice. There is a little bit of, I wouldn't even say deck building. You have some cards, and you may play the cards and activate actions there. So it's a point salad. I'm not a huge fan of point salads, but this one, well, looks nice, really nice. But I enjoyed playing the game, and I enjoyed building those engines and grabbing the victory points over the course of the game. I really enjoyed the game. So Bitaku 15, 14, another engine builder. This one literally engine builder. It's called Corrosion, which has very interesting mechanisms with this rotating wheel, and when you gain resources, those resources are placed in different quadrants, and as the wheel rotates, those resources corrode. So if you don't spend them early enough, they may just corrode, and you may lose them, which is an interesting, really interesting way of working with resources. And again, you're building some engines, some Chrome engines. It's you gain resources, convert those resources to other resources and to engines which score victory points. So it's very simple, but there is also a very interesting card game together with this wheel. You have certain number of cards, and when you play the card, again, it stays. It's like placing a worker. Each card has a number, like how many shifts that person needs, or how many hours of the shift that person needs to complete that work. Simple ones you can get back very quickly. The more complex works means that the card will be unavailable for you for quite some time. So the most interesting and most intriguing mechanism here is playing with time, playing with your resources and your cards to make sure that you time them perfectly and you score as many victory points over the course of the game as possible. But this timing element and playing with the time, that's something that I really enjoy a lot. Otherwise, the theme is industrial, which doesn't really drag my attention any significantly. So it looks it looks metallic. Bitaku looks much better, I have to say. But this one, this timing game mechanics, that really was really intriguing for me. So Corrosion number 14, I like it a lot. Number 13, we're coming back to a card game, and card game which has a lot of similarities with Race for the Galaxy. Number 13, Terraforming Mars RS Expedition. I have to say I don't like Terraforming Mars at all. Or, let me put it this way. I like playing Terraforming Mars for 45 minutes. 1 hour maximum. After that, I'm suffering. After 2 hours of Terraforming Mars playing, I want to jump out of the window. I mean, for what it is, it just takes too long. I'm not a fan of Terraforming Mars at all. Terraforming Mars RS Expedition does something very similar to Race for the Galaxy, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And this engine building in combination, it's much shorter, much shorter than the original Terraforming Mars. And yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, for what it is, it's short. I like combining those cards and building combos. So as I said, I like doing that for 45 minutes, 1 hour maximum. And Terraforming Mars RS Expedition does exactly that. It's a copy of Race for the Galaxy, so it will not replace it. But for what it does, it really takes the accurate number or accurate amount of time, like that. It's just exactly as long as it should be for me. So Terraforming Mars RS Expedition number 13, I would never ever play the original Terraforming Mars. I don't need that spatial game there. As I said, I'm not a fan of Terraforming Mars at all. That's why I was surprised that I liked this one a lot. The combination of cards, making combos and utilizing, I like that. But hey, don't let me do it for more than 40 minutes because it's just getting boring and boring. And yeah, I was part of a game which took more than 3.5 hours of terraforming Mars. I said never ever. So terraforming Mars, RS Expedition 13, number 12. It was number 12 is when it was an interesting game because I was asked by a publisher to make a tutorial. I said yes, and publisher said we're sending the game, and it never arrived until like 4 months later, but not because it was lost somewhere by the delivery companies. They just didn't send it. They had some issues there, so I thought the game will never arrive, but it did, and we enjoyed it heavily. Again, another one which I hesitated to put on the list because it's another reprint. It's not even a second edition. It's a reprint. I think it's Michael Kiesling. Is it there? Yeah, but I don't see. But Mike, I think it was the Wolfgang Kramer and Michael Kiesling. I think Maharaja. Very simple area control game where you place your pieces on the game board. You move your priest along the map. Very simple map of some region, and you're also manipulating the order of the regions or cities which Maharaja is going to visit and score. Simple rules, really simple rules. I think 8 or 9 actions you have available. You combine those actions, and fantastic gameplay. Right after the first game, we fell in love with the game. Again, the only problem with the game are components. It's Cranio Creations, rotating components. I don't know why they keep doing these rotating components. They're really not good at it. I mean, really not. Instead of the rotating dial with 2 arrows, we could just have cards. 9 cards in hand, and I choose 2, place it over there, and once we're done, we reveal the cards. That simple. Why do we need to have gimmicky mechanisms that don't work? Those arrows don't hold there. Yeah. So with that, if that wouldn't be there, if that would be just cards, wow, this would be much higher. But this component problem really drags the game a little lower on my list, unfortunately. But the gameplay is fantastic. I mean, it's really so simple, so easy to teach, with lots of decision making, manipulating the order of those cities where Maharaja is going to. There's a lot of things you can do. You have to think about what other players are doing, where they want to go to. You have to take care of money. You have to make money in the game. It's great for how much can be done with just a few actions in the game and simple set of rules. So I was impressed. Maharaja. Number 11. Almost everything that I just said about Maharaja can be applied to number 11. Simplicity of rules, few choices, which when combined together prepare a lot of headache for a player to make solid decision making. It's another game brewer game called Hippocrates. Very simple rule set. You just collect. You welcome patients in your hospital. Each patient will pay a certain amount of money, but you also have to collect the medicine to make sure that you can use the medicine to heal those patients. Sorry, and then you have to pay your doctors. But when the doctors fulfill all their career tasks, they've learned what they needed to learn, and they move on. You have to hire additional ones, new ones, and it's basically very, very simple. But one of my games from the gaming group has beautifully described the beauty of the game when he said, in this game you It's one of the very few games where you don't just start something, you have to finish it. It's not that you grab the lot of patients and you keep them waiting. If you don't heal those patients towards by the end of the year, by the end of the game, they die, and you lose victory points. So you have to finish their treatment, and if you don't make it by the end of the last round, you still have one additional chance, one additional action. You don't get victory points, but you don't lose victory points when you heal them. But if you don't, well, they die anyway. It's like another few rounds of game would pass, and they would die. So you have to finish what you start doing. You have to finish it. So we have to perfectly time all your actions in the game and make sure that when you take this patient or when you take that doctor, in order to score the victory points and not lose victory points, you manage to finish everything on that tile, all the tasks. So you heal the patient, and you make sure that the doctor fulfills all their tasks. This is a phenomenal combination of decision making, decision and decision factors in the game. Very, very simple rules, yet making sure that you complete everything, you finish everything, you heal all your patients. Wow, one of the best games of managing resources in the last couple of years, I have to say. Really interesting idea. You know, unlike other games where you just build buildings and you grab a lot of resources, and you have those resources sitting and yet they do nothing, or you start building something and you don't finish building it. Well, you don't score victory points because you didn't finish it, but no big deal. Here, if you don't heal the patient, well, you're going to lose. And given the fact that the end game scores are like 50, 55 points, 60 points, losing a patient for 4 points, a patient that would give you 4 victory points, but you rather lose 3 victory points, that's a 7 points difference. With 50, 55 points end game score, 7 points difference might be a difference between winning the game and not winning the game. Or losing, even ending up third. So you have to be very, very, very careful. This is a perfectly designed. I really love it a lot. So Hippocrates, number 11. Now we're coming to something very complex. Number 10, Cole Worley game. Cole Worley is probably one of my favorite, if not the favorite game designers. Then one of the most favorite game designers of all time. And he came with Oath, a game which is it's a phenomenal design, I have to say, but it's so difficult to get to the table. It has lots of interesting decisions. It has a lot of things going on. It's such a beautiful design that there is a ruler. There are other important people in the region. I forgot how they're called. We haven't played the game for quite a few months now. People have difficulties embracing the game. There's just so much going on in the game, so many things to think about. And after a few games, I think we barely got under the surface of the game. There's just so much. Every single game, there was something that I discovered. I said, oh, so this is it. This is how it works. Not that how it works from the rules perspective, but this is why this action is in the game. This is why it makes sense to do it, or this is why you did that. I've discovered so many new things every single game we played. So the more we played, the more I appreciate the game. But other players were just lost. I mean, there's just so many things to think about. So that's why we didn't manage to get it to the table more often. But I was so impressed with the design of the game. But I think it just has a little too many things in it. But without those little things, it wouldn't be such a perfect design. I don't know. I mean, I really love that design a lot, but it's difficult to get to the table. But it's just so phenomenally designed. So number 10, Oath, and by the way, production is off the charts. It's one of the most beautiful games I have ever seen and I have ever played, even in terms of components. It's really, and I like the art, I like the colors. The playmat is really, really beautiful. Wow, I'm just impressed. Unfortunately, it's just so difficult to get to the table. So number 10, Oath. Number 9 is a completely the opposite side of the spectrum of complexity. Number 9, Cascadia. And another super simple, easy game to teach, family type of game, or even a game for non-gamers. Looks nice, easy to understand, easy to grab, easy to see what needs to be done. Goes pretty quickly. Yeah. I mean, I don't need to spend too much time talking about Cascadia. It has been one of the most played games in our club. It has been one of the most discussed game and praised game in the community. I thought it's going to make it. I thought it will become a game of the year for some people, and maybe in some lists it will just be the game of the year. It's just so good. So Cascadia, number 9. Number 8 is another medium heavy Euro game from Vladimir Suchy, the designer of Praga, Caput Regni, Underwater Cities, and this time Messina 1347. For the current climate, very thematic game. The game about eliminating disease in Messina in 1347. Well, very thematic game. I really liked the how the theme was implemented. You try to save people from those infected quarters of the city or infected regions. Then eliminate the virus there, eliminate the disease with fire. Then once eliminated, you can redeploy those people back. In the meantime, they can be in the quarantine, they can be on your estate, trying to help you with something and generate some material. You place them in your estate, and that triggers some bonuses. So another system which allows you to take an action which triggers additional mini actions. But very, very, very well done, very thematic. I played the game several times and I liked it more and more every time we played it. So Messina 1347 on number 8. I think it's, if not the best, then yeah, I think it's the best Vladimir Suchy's game. I like this one the most of all of them. I didn't like Praga Caput Regni, or I don't like Praga Caput Regni as much as I did now, just because there are just too many chain reactions. And for the same reason, I don't have I will talk about certain games which didn't make my list. And this is one of the reasons there were some games which make this chain reactioning way too complex and too many chain reactions that players are, at least I was kind of getting lost in all those actions and chain reactions to previous chain reactions. In Messina, I remember my first game of Messina when I said, again, there is some chain reactioning there, and I felt a little lost, but only in the first game, because there's really, it is a heavy game. It's not medium, it's medium heavy game. So there is a lot to think about. But in the second game, I didn't have that feeling at all. I didn't feel lost at all, which in Praga Caput Regni and some other games I still did. In this one I did not. So Messina 1347, number 8. Then number 7, another of my favorite publishers, Osprey Games, which caught my attention basically with Cryptid first. Then the second edition, The King is Dead, second edition. Then, what else did they have? I don't remember if there was anything else, but I know they surprised me with Merv last year. Merv was fantastic, phenomenal. And now they came with 2 other games, and the first one is on number 7, and that's the game called it's a deck building game, card game, Imperium Classics and Legends. I have both boxes, I have to say, and 16 different nations which play in 16 different ways, the same rules but different styles of game, different ways how to play the deck. And playing it a 2-player game, it's just really great ideas in those decks. I like tableau building and deck building games. I already said that this is not as great as Race for the Galaxy, but the way each nation generates victory points and generates cards is unique, and I like it. Some decks are simple, some decks have more sophisticated ideas, but even the base, the classics, Imperium Classics decks, there is a lot of variety, and it also has a very interesting solo mode. Yeah, I've spent quite some time with Imperium Classics and Legends. I have to say, I like these kinds of card games, and this one blew up my mind. It was, yeah, for a few weeks I really played a lot of these games, a lot of different nations. Solo, we played 2-player games, we played 3-player games. Yeah, we enjoyed the game a lot. So Imperium Classics Legends number 7. Number 6 is another card game, although it's a card version game of the much bigger board game, but it works, I think, brilliantly well, maybe even better than the actual board game, and that's the last of the Game Brewers game on my list, and it's Arkwright, the card game. I was so surprised. I don't want to say shocked, but I was really positively surprised how much game I can find in a small box. Not heavy, huge, big boxes with lots of components, all those Kickstarter boxes which are so huge. And Arkwright, the card game, just a small box with maybe a lot more game than in those huge heavy boxes. So many decisions to make, so many things to consider. You are running your own companies, your factories. You start with 2 factories, may add 3rd, may add 4th. You may add more employees to the factories. You may upgrade the factories. You may add the quality to your products, and it all for selling the products on the market, for which you get money. Basically, at the end of the game, the only thing that matters is the wealth of your portfolio, the value of your portfolio, which is number of actions multiplied by the value of your actions. You have to increase the number of actions you own. You have to increase the value of your actions, which you do with 1 action. So you have to think about when to do that. For that, you need to sell your products. Those products need to be profitable. With just few cards, the only thing, those cards are, sometimes manipulating those cards may be a little fiddly. I appreciate the design that with just a few cards, there are so many combinations you can set up on your factory boards. I would maybe prefer to have a slightly larger box with a little different design decisions in certain situations. But especially those tokens, there's 1 token that you place on the factory board. It's just so tiny. Anyway, it could have been just a cube, something slightly larger, something bigger. Anyway, so many things to think about in this game. I played it like 6 or 7 times already, and I still haven't. I don't believe I've seen everything in this game. I don't believe there's so much to explore, so many strategies to explore. Yeah, thinking about the game, I want to play that game. We like to play two-player games, or we played a three-player game. But every time I chose a different path, I chose different strategies, every time with different results. And I see that all those strategies are viable strategies. I won the game and I lost the game with all the factories. I won the game and lost the game with just the two factories. I lost the game and won the game with many employees, and also with very few employees in my factory. So like a small companies, everything is viable there. It's about how you time it and how you compare it with your opponent. Fantastic. Yeah, so much to think about, so much to talk about. Arkwright, the card game, my number 6 of 2021. Great design. Doesn't I don't even want to come back to the big grandiose full game. This one much smaller, and I still have the same crunchy decision to make. On the other hand, I understand some people called it an Excel in brown color. There's really a lot of calculating in the game. So that's why, yeah, one of my favorite games of 2021. Now, number 5 is the other Osprey Publishing game, which came to my table in February, and I instantly fell in love with it. Brian Boru. I love the King is Dead 2nd edition for 3 players. That's one of the best games I have ever played. Works fantastically with 3 players. Simple rules, very simple rules, yet so much depth. Fantastic. Brian Boru is like the King is Dead 2nd edition combined with trick taking, which is another interesting element because you don't have to win the tricks. Those tricks give you some additional resources. It's like a combination of two big elements in the game: area control and some resources and resource manipulation, which is additional way how to score victory points. It worked fantastically. I was hooked immediately. I've heard a lot of praise about the game, and I have to agree. One of the best games. I like trick-taking games in general. I grew up playing, well, not me, but my parents and grandparents. They played marriage game, the card game, mariage in our language. And I think it even comes from the French mariage. That's the French pronunciation of marriage. And so we've been playing, and I've seen my family playing trick-taking games with just the basic cards. Many trick-taking games for tens of years. So I'm inclined towards good trick-taking games. There have not been that many good on the market, to be honest. But Brian Boru combining the King is Dead 2nd edition, combining this area control idea with the trick-taking, yeah, I was hooked immediately. And I'm looking forward to play the game more and more. So number 5, Brian Boru. Number 4, coming to the top of the list. Number 4, for me personally, the best pick up and deliver game I have ever played, and I don't like pick up and deliver games. But this one from Bezier Games, I believe. I can't even. I don't see that it's too far away. Maglev Metro, Magnetic Levitation Metro. Again, simple set of rules. You have all your actions on your player board, where you have your robots assigned to those actions. You can build a track, you can build a station, you can move your train, drop off people, you can load people. People can get on your train. You can pick up pick up the passengers. You can drop off the passengers. You have some objectives. The way when you drop off passengers, you actually drop them off on your player board, which improves your actions. Now, which ones you want to get improved? Do you want to have a higher capacity on your trains? You want to pick up more people, drop off more people with one action, or do you want to travel through 2 or 3 stations with just one movement? So many things so many different strategies, so many different objectives. Very, very simple set of rules, yet so much depth, so many choices. You have to. It's a very interactive again because there are other players trying to get the similar or the same passengers as you. So it's a racing. If you see you're not going to make it, you need to change your plans. You can reorganize those robots and pieces on your player board. Yeah, so many options with just a simple set of rules. I'm so much impressed with this game. As I said, I'm not a fan of pick up and deliver type of game, but this one is yeah. We played this game so many times. Just to, we tried both sides of the map, and we like it more and more and more. The only thing which I still didn't get to do was to paint those bronze robots with the more distinguishing bronze color, because with lower light the bronze and gold they seem similar. They're not, but they seem similar. But this is the only complaint. Even the components are beautiful. Those translucent hexes. The map then looks like the map in the metro somewhere in those trains. Beautiful design choices. I love the game so much. So Maglev Metro, my number 4. Coming to top 3. Number 3, what would have been my list of best games if it wouldn't have an 18xx game? This time, number 3, 1840. There were a couple of 18xx games published in 2021, and we played some of them, but the only one that really popped up was 1840 for me. And the more we play, and we played on 18xx games platform, but when I saw the game, I missed the Kickstarter, and I wasn't so much interested in the game. But when we played it first time, it has so many different concepts to standard 18xx games. So many different ways of doing the same thing, but it makes sense. It flows really well, and I played it already 5 or 6 times, and I've tried different strategies every time. And I won with just 1 line at the end of the game. I won with 3 lines. I won with 2 lines. I won with just red trains. If you know the game, you probably know what I'm talking about. In one game, I managed to buy that purple train and actually crushed everyone else. I was behind, but with this purple train, I significantly slowed down everyone else and managed to come to the top and won the game afterwards. There are so many different strategies you can take in this game, and so many different ways how to interact with the map, how to build the map, how to build the lines. You can remove the stations of those city-owned lines. There's so many things you can do in that game. So the more we played it, the more I began to appreciate the cleverness of the design of this one. It's unique from other 18xx titles, and when I visited Fox in the Box and David Hanacek at Essenspiel, he was there with Lonely Games. And when I saw the 1840 there, I instantly bought the game. I instantly grabbed it and said, "Keep it here. Let me grab the money." Just I didn't want to let the box off of my hand. I immediately decided to get the game there. It looks beautiful, so I can't wait to really play it physically. We only played online implementation of it, but it's so good. Belongs to one of my favorite 18xx games of all time. So 1814, number 3. Now, number 1 and number 2. I've spent quite a lot of time trying to make a decision which one is going to be number 1 and which one is going to be number 2. Because they're both really good. And I have to say I have changed their relative position several times already. So they're so close, so close. I would even say that I would have both of them as number 1s. But yet I made a decision. One of them is going to be number 2, one of them is going to be number 1. And number 2 is the game, big game, which almost everyone is talking about, Ark Nova. I was not interested in this game at all when we saw it at Essen. It looks okay. Those game boards, the player boards, when they're not filled, even when they are filled with the with those tiles, it doesn't have any extra table presence. I mean, it didn't really look that well. The cards are okay. They don't have illustrations. They have pictures. I mean, we were not impressed at all. I saw the big box, really huge box, knowing that I probably don't have a capacity for that, but people would be interested in it. But when we looked at the game, I immediately noticed the mechanism of 5 cards, which are 5 actions, under numbers 1 to 5. The higher the card, the higher the number, the more powerful the action. So that one I loved in a new the Civilization New Dawn. In that game, it was absolutely brilliant mechanism, and I was waiting when some other game would come up with this mechanism. So that caught my attention. Everything else was like, I didn't know a lot. But before we get to Essen, somehow I just neglected Ark Nova. I didn't know much about the game, and when we saw the game, I said no. There are many other games that I was chasing, so I skipped Ark Nova at Essen, to be honest. But then one of the Czech publishers sent me the game in December. I think it was in December, yeah. And when we played the game, we were all immediately impressed. We were impressed not even halfway through the game. We were impressed after 15-20 minutes that the gameplay is so good. I mean, this mechanism of having 5 actions, which are 5 cards, which are 5 actions. Yes, that's a phenomenal mechanism. I love that mechanism a lot. So that works well. And then everything else, getting the cards, trying to get some kind of an engine going, trying to get those, how they're called, conservation points. For that, you need to fulfill some objectives, some tasks. It all just slowly build up in such a fantastic way. And we had to do one action, the other action, trying to combine them, trying to make sure that certain actions get to the most powerful slot. But some actions don't have to be in the most powerful slot to make them useful. And after like 20-30 minutes, I saw that everyone is having great fun. We enjoyed the game a lot. And after we played the first one, we would almost immediately play the second one. But the only reason why this is number 2 in my list is that it just takes 2.5 hours in 3 players, 2.5 hours to finish the game. That's the only reason why it's not number 1. It's not a bad thing. I fully enjoy every second of playing Ark Nova, and I would even play it twice in a row. That's how much I like the game. The other players may be a little tired and not really want to play the second game right after the first one, but everything else, everything else is just phenomenal. It works well. It works really, really well. The cards are beautiful. Now I can say I appreciate I appreciate the graphics. I'm not saying I love it, but I appreciate it. It looks nice. I'm enjoying every time I play Ark Nova. But it's not number one. And the number one game, I missed the Kickstarter. I completely ignored the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter. I received the game in yeah, it was March, early March, a few weeks ago. Just because everyone was talking about the game, and I asked the publishers in Czech Republic, and they got the game for me. Now it's more available, more publicly available. But I received the game, and we played the game. I've heard that it's not that easy to explain. I don't know. For me, it was an easy explanation. Yes, the game has certain elements, but when we explained Ark Nova, well, come on, Ark Nova has 10 times more elements than this one. So no, it was not really difficult to explain. And after 10 minutes of playing, I was hooked. I was so much in the game. I have not spent a second outside of the game with my mind. We played for 1 hour, and I was so much hooked. After we finished, we played another one, and then we played another one. It's the hidden movement. It's the mind management game. I played mind management. I played hidden movement games as a kid many times. In Czechoslovakia, we had 2 games. One of them was called The Phantom of the Old Prague. It was a copy of Scotland Yard. Exact same mechanism. We played that as kids. We played it a lot. Enjoyed it a lot. But it's a very simple mechanism. I was not a fan of other hidden movement games at all. Maybe because we played this Phantom of Old Prague so many times. But I'm not a fan of what was the latest one, Narcos. Was okay, nothing that would have any hook for me. Okay, but I didn't really love the game. I hate Fury of Dracula, all that fighting there. And there were some other games which really didn't interest me at all. So when I've heard Hidden Movement, I said, pass for me. I don't need to have it. But when I have heard other people talking about it and being so much enthusiastic about it, I said there must be something. There must be something that I'm missing. Then we played the game. I immediately understood what it is. How they're called, those 4 rogue agents. Even the agent which is at the other side of the map, on the other side of the map than the recruiter. Even that agent can do meaningful turns and do some powerful actions. In many other games, if you're on the other side of the map, there is nothing you can do. Just make a move and that's it. And it will take you ages to get somewhere nearby the person you're trying to find. Here, even if you're on the other side of the map, you can ask questions. You can investigate. You can ask questions. And you can ask very meaningful questions and actually find a keys. You can find a key information that you need to identify the path of the recruiter. So every person who was playing the game, everyone was thinking constantly. We were talking about where the recruiter could be, what actions, what symbols we need to ask. Yeah, I was in the game every second of that game, and then when we finally found the recruiter, we were so excited. The other person wanted to try to be the recruiter immediately. The recruiter himself, he wanted to try to be on the agent side because it looked easy to him first, and that's why he made some mistakes. And We found him later in the game. So he said next time I would do it differently. But the other person wanted to play the recruiter. That person played the recruiter, and then we finished. And another person wanted to play the recruiter, and we played 3 games in a row. And every second of those games, I was in the game because it's a puzzle. Every agent has a meaningful action, and I like this system of additional decks or additional the decks of cards, each bringing some new element to the game. But it's not a game breaker. It's nice, it's interesting, but even with the base set of rules, wow, it was phenomenal. You need to work with those immortals as a recruiter with those immortals. One time we played, there's a new guy. He wanted to try it. He didn't really understood the consequences. So the first game we played, we actually caught him on the 7th hour, very very early in the game. He made some bad choices at the beginning of the game, but then he realized, oh, okay, now I get it. Let me play again. Said okay, and he escaped. He managed. I think he recruited 2 or 3 recruits over the course of the game. He completely avoided those symbols, so we couldn't trace him down. He was playing so cleverly, and when I saw that, it was first game was very quick. The second game we played the second game, and then I said I want to play the third game immediately. And this was another time we played. So yeah, it's much shorter than Ark Nova. I'm constantly in the game. I'm constantly trying to solve the puzzle. Other players as well. And we argue. And some people, they don't want to think too much. Other people want to do something emotionally, what about this one? I said, let's not do. Let's think about it a little bit. So like really the team of investigators, everyone is different. And then we missed, because we were arguing so much, we just missed one option that the recruiter had, and that's why he cleverly used it and escaped. In one game, we saw a recruiter using the special move way before he was in danger. And we said, he wasted the action. No, he didn't, because when he would be in a trouble, and we saw it in another game, previous game, when a recruiter was in a trouble and used a special move, actually he didn't have that many good spots to go to. But this time, this one, he used the special move when we had no idea where he is, so he confused us completely. And yeah, he easily won the game. So I would never thought about it. Yeah, just talking about the game makes me want to play it again. So this excitement was the only reason why Might Management for me is number 1 ahead of Ark Nova. It's shorter. It's definitely much shorter than Ark Nova, and the excitement is there. And I have never had such an excitement with Hidden Movement game. And as I said, I really appreciate that every agent on the map can do meaningful turn, meaningful action anywhere on the map. Every single agent. I also appreciate how Recruiter has several options. Simply survive and not get caught, or recruit enough recruits to win the game, which can actually happen if those symbols are somewhere, if he manages to go through those symbols pretty quickly. I've seen that with just one recruiter away from winning on the recruiter condition. So many great things about this game. So Might Management, and we have not even seen the content of all those additional boxes that Smart System is called, I think. There's so many other cool features that can be added or removed or modified in the game. Yeah, I love the game so much. So I've been talking about my top 25 for a little longer than I expected. Anyway, that's my top 25 of 2021. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know which games you were surprised that you have not seen yet. I'm going to mention a few games now. the reason why they didn't make my list, but this is what made my list, my 25 games, with really number 1, number 2 being very, very close, but my management made it from not playing the game early March to the top of the list. So a few games which didn't make my list, and I think maybe you would be asking questions about those. So first, Boon Lake, the Alexander Pfister game. In the second game, me and my friend, we achieved absolutely everything in that game. I mean everything. We were on the last space, on all the tracks, completed all the tasks. We did everything. And that was just the second game. So we had no motivation to play it again. What else can we achieve in the game? What else? What more can we achieve? We achieved everything. So we were slightly excited after first game, and the excitement went down after the second game. We played it once more with other people who wanted to learn the game. Again, we achieved everything, and we were not even having fun. So very dry, very not satisfying at all. I mean, it's very forgettable, unfortunately. So Boon Lake is not there. Then Ankh. I don't know what to say about Ankh. I really enjoyed the game mechanisms in this game, but somehow altogether it just didn't click for me. And not just for me, not even for the gaming group. Maybe that's one of the issues. Nobody from the gaming group actually enjoyed the game. Not in 3 or 4 player game. We don't mind that God merging mechanics. We don't mind. It's not great, not terrible. I mean, we don't mind. If it's there, it's not. It's towards the end of the game. That was not a problem. The problem was that somehow maybe those superpowers were just too super. In one of the games, I lost my my PCs, my warriors, but I already had the God's power, which allows me to recruit additional warrior for each pyramid, where if I'm adjacent to pyramid, something like that. So I lost 4, and I immediately recruited 4. And the other person was devastated. He can only recruit 1. No, so some of those superpowers were just too super, I think. So we thought that some development lines were more obvious than others. I don't know. I really don't have too many factual arguments. It's just that the game didn't click with us at all. And although it has interesting ideas, it does. And I really wanted to like the game, but somehow it just didn't click for us. I still have Rising Sun as the best game of the trilogy for me personally. So Ankh is not there. And the similar problem is for Great Wall. The Great Wall from Awakened Realms, first of all, so many design decisions that I don't understand. So many bad design decisions. We talked about the impressions in Slovak language. We talked about like 45 minutes about the game impressions. 30 minutes was discussion about the bad decisions for game components. First, I hate that for the 5th player I need additional box. Second, all those plastic pieces, they don't do anything. They just stand somewhere. I had this plastic, it looks nice, but they don't do anything. It's just a lot of plastic that does nothing. It's not even moving. It's just a little bit of moving, but wooden components look equally well. They consume significantly less space, so everything can be in one box maybe. Anyway, there's a lot, there's a huge board, and the board doesn't have the names of those locations. In the first game it was, we didn't know what the locations are. So we constantly had to go to the rules, but the game board is so large, so huge, there was a space to say, okay, this is the emissary, this is whatever. Why it's not there? Then the text on the card, I mean, so much space on the card with awful graphics. And then the font of the text was super small. I don't have a problem with looking at the text yet. Some people have. They had huge issues with being able to read the text. I don't have a problem. I had problem reading that text on those cards. And then given how much text there is on the cards, I don't understand why the game came with like 30 symbols, different symbols. And within the text on the card, those symbols are used in various spaces. I mean, why? If the game was language independent, fine, let's use symbols. But the card has 4 or 5 lines of text, and within these 5 lines, there are 3 different symbols, which we didn't know what they mean. We had to go and find those symbols. I mean, why? Many design decision choices were totally bad, I believe. And then the game itself was okay, but again, we didn't like those super powerful heroes, the leaders, because the entire game was about utilizing as best as you can those superpowers. So the game was imbalanced. Yeah, we didn't like it a lot. So we didn't like it at all. I mean, so Great Wall, as much as we anticipated the game, it was one of the biggest disappointments of the year for me. Then Euthia. I did the big tutorial for Euthia. I like these kind of games. I mean, the Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is, for me personally, the best PC game I have ever played. I love that game. Euthia is similar, but I would never play these games as a board games because there's just so much administration, so many fiddliness, so much fiddliness, and so many fiddly things that I have to do that when I sit down and play a game for 4 hours, I can finish the medium-sized map, maybe, Heroes of Might and Magic 3, in 4 hours. With Euthia, I can make 10 turns, 15 turns in 4 hours. 15 turns was like 2 weeks in Heroes of Might and Magic PC game. 2 weeks. And those games, when I finished the game, it was like 6 months of gameplay, which means, well, 1 month is 28 turns, in-game turns. Here, I do 15 turns in 4 hours, so I like the game, but I would never play it as a board game. I think there are certain games which are just not suitable to be in a board game version. Like these RPG, these games, these like Euthia types of games. I think the same about, how they're called, Seven Continent, Tainted Grail, Etherfields, these kind of games. They're great, but if I would play the game in a digital version, within the same time, I would just go. I would do 10 times more in the game than I do in the board game, because there's just so much manual administration in the board game version. So that's why I like Euthia, but I have never played it since, because I don't want to. I don't want to spend 15 minutes setting up the game. That's why I don't play Gloomhaven any longer as the board game as the board game version. It's just lots of administration. I'm not a fan of digital games. I like them a lot, but I prefer board games. But if I go and play the digital Gloomhaven, all the boring stuff is gone, and I only do things which I really like. So yeah, I believe some of these games just don't. The same applies, for example, for Civilization games. Sid Meier's Civilization, Vláďa Chvátil's Through the Ages. These games, they're great, but I would never play them as a board game version anymore. Never. Because I would just calculate and do administration. and then have a 5 seconds of fun in the board game, and then again do some administration, while in the digital version I just have fun all the time. So that's why Euthea is not there. And then 2 more games. Golem. I talked about Messina, that when you do an action and that the action chain reactions into other sub actions and mini actions, if it's just too many mini reactions and chain reactions, people can get lost, and that happened to me in Golem. I don't like that game. It's very abstract, and second, when I compare it to Grand Austria Hotel is much easier, more streamlined, obviously, and I prefer Grand Austria Hotel every time ahead of Golem. I'll probably get rid of Golem. May keep it for a while if people in the club would like to try it and play it, but otherwise I'll be keeping Grand Austria Hotel. It's still a fantastic game and has a similar mechanics, and I don't feel it's like the Golem is much heavier. Same like Maracaibo to Great Western Trail, Golem is to Grand Austria Hotel. And I like Great Western Trail. I don't like Maracaibo. I like Grand Austria Hotel. I don't like Golem. So, no, Golem is not on my list. And the second, the last, Imperial's team. I didn't know what to think about the game for a long time, but the game has a lot of interesting mechanics. But for me personally, it thematically doesn't make any sense at all. It's actually counterintuitive, to be honest. It's not a train game. It's not 18xx game. It's not. But it's not how to say it. There are shares, sort of a shares, which count during the game, but they don't count at the end of the game. And the game is about money, making the most money. I don't understand why why I cannot spend the workers that build track to build another track. Well, I understand that, but I don't understand why those same workers who are not able to build the track in the same turn can build a factory in the same turn. And when I build a factory, I don't understand why that factory only gives me 2 cubes for the entire duration of the game. And nothing, no more than 2 cubes or 3 cubes, depends on where I get the worker from. But when the factory actually stops producing, the worker is not coming back to me. That worker remains there. What is he doing? Why is he there? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. There are small tokens on the map. It's called business opportunities, and these increase the value of the shares. Why? For what? What's in there? I can deliver goods to the cities, I can do great things, but the value of my shares is not changing. Why is it changing when I get to a city which is just a simple token? I just don't understand. I understand that these tracks, there are some sort of tracks which I need to manage somehow, but maybe the game would be better if it didn't have this train theme. I have a train loaded with resources and material. I get to a city which requires exactly the same material that I have on that train. I cannot deliver it. I must go build a brand new factory and deliver that same material from that factory. Why? I mean, there are so many issues, so many thematic issues with that game that it's non-forgiving. It's super difficult. After we play our first game, one of our the members of the group, he said he will never play it again because it's the worst game he has ever played. I understood, and we had a very frustrating experience on our first game. There are many other issues with the game that I have. Now, when we stepped away from the game and came back 2 weeks later, tried again, it was better, but it was still very bitter taste in our mouth. And when we tried it third time, it was still there, and I said no more trying the game. I mean, I see why people think it's a great game. I don't think so. And I thought I'm one of the, some extreme extreme cases, and I'm one of those few people who don't like the game. But actually not. I found many people evaluating the game like 3 out of 10. Really many issues with the game. So Imperial Steam, as much as I wanted to like the game and I see the potential, I have just so many issues with that game that I still kept it in case someone would like to try it, but I think it's going to be sold away very quickly. So it didn't make my list. We gave it a chance, and not just one. We gave it 3 chances, but we don't like it. If I have to play the game difficult like this, complex like this, train game, I would just pick 18xx game. And there are mini express games. There is a mini express game as well. There are other train games, Railroad Tycoon. Why we would pick Imperial Steam? So that's it. That's the my anticipated questions to your my answers to the anticipated questions. If you would ask about games which didn't make my list. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for 25 games, but I spent too much time talking about them. Anyway, I really enjoyed these 25 games. Hope to see you again next year with the next list. Very soon, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be coming with my top 50 games of all time, with my latest. I think last time I only came with 25. No, it was top 50. It was already top 50 2020. So I'll come with my new version. There are changes. There are many changes in this list. The reason is that we had some new players in the group, and we came back to the old games. And yeah, enough spoilers. Enough spoilers. There are many changes in that list. So in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be available. This was top 25 of 2021. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Branislav Berec. If you like the video, if you like the content that I do, I'll be happy if you become my subscriber. You can even support me on the Patreon page. My name is Branislav Berec. Thanks for watching again, and stay safe and enjoy gaming. Bye.